How do we give him the power to seize any financial firm that he finds in danger of default? Is this a constitutional republic anymore? How do we expect him to protect us from the potential threats to the over-financial system? When we're constantly being injured by Congress, how can we seriously look at a Bureau of Consumer Financial Protection created by Congress? How can a bill that just creates a panel that makes recommendations to an outside body like the Fed that they're not required to follow be taken seriously? How can this bill be taken seriously when it does absolutely nothing to touch Fannie and Freddie? You remember Countrywide? Yeah, evil, right? Making crazy loans to borrowers who couldn't handle them. Remember that? Well, 90% of loans originated by Countrywide were sold to Fannie Mae and backed by Ginnie Mae. If there were no Fannie, Freddie, or Ginnie, or any other outdated name you could think of, there'd be no Countrywide, and likely no housing crisis or economic collapse or weird, shady loans going to people like Chris Dodd. And speaking of Countrywide, how can a bill written by Chris Dodd and Barney Frank possibly solve anything when they were right in there, real important, right there with the collapse at every level in the first place? Isn't this a little like asking Mel Gibson to write your company's rules on anger management and racial tolerance? How can we stand by and accept as financial regulation a bill that creates a cottage industry for lawyers by making it easier for lawyers to sue? How is this helping us? How does the Fed, which helped cause the crisis, we can't open up any of their books, get rewarded with more power? How does the Treasury, which helped bail every single person out after the crisis, get rewarded with more power as well? How does the SEC, which missed the credit ratings fiasco, get rewarded with more power because they missed it? How can we be told that there are no bailouts in this bill when they are throwing $1 billion to states to rehabilitate individual houses or stop crime? Or another $1 billion thrown at people who lose their jobs in the bill? This is not about a bailout, really. How does creating a massive government bureaucracy with the power to watch your bank account and track every credit card account over your shoulder help your economic liberty? Oh, 2 + 2 = 5, said Winston. Big Brother is watching your credit card now. How does charging billions of dollars in new fees on banks help an industry that has already been devastated? How do we pass a law that passes the buck from lawmakers to appointed bureaucrats? Do you have this? No longer does Congress oversee these things. Appointed bureaucrats decide how the financial regulation is implemented. Nothing that I just said. It's all in this bill, but it's kind of hazy. These new czars will come in and they'll define it. It takes 2,300 pages just to outline the different groups of people who can later come and figure this out. What is wrong with us, America? Why are people not in the streets? Your republic is over. And we are talking about the president firing some woman and blaming it on somebody else. At the same time, we're talking about financial responsibility. This man can't take responsibility for anything. I can't figure this country out. I apologize. I said this morning to my staff, anger is not the answer. America the America that we grew up in is gone. The fundamental transformation that we have been warning you about, that we have been begging you, please, through their lies, through their deception, through their calling of names and smearing, everything on this show, we have shown you the facts, most of it in their own words. And yet they still got away with it. America, you have no idea what you're facing. I've been so tired this week. Someday we will share things. Someday we will have a tale to tell. Not today. I've been so tired this week. And I have to tell you, I know you are too. We have been working very hard. The fight must change, because I believe they're in the final. I've talked to enough experts. I've talked to people who have studied revolutionaries and all of this stuff. I've talked to them. I know what's coming next. And it fits right in with what's happening with Sherrod. The next thing they have to do is take over the media. That's what's next. Period. That's what this Sherrod thing is all about. This government is going to watch your bank account, track every credit card account over your shoulder. How does that help economic liberty? How does charging billions of dollars in new fees on the banks help an industry devastated? We're passing the buck from lawmakers to appointed bureaucrats over and over and over again. America, on radio, I've been diving into a blueprint from the 1960s. We're going to talk about it on TV next week. There are people in and around this White House. They're following huge parts of this plan laid out over 30 years ago. The fundamental transformation of our society comes in two distinct pieces. The first one is a united front against imperialism for a new democracy built on a joint dictatorship of the working class and the poor. Class warfare, anyone? The second, develop out of the new democratic stage, socialism. Remember, we're all socialists now, according to Newsweek magazine. It might be hard to keep track of the phrase that we're currently in, but we are doing it here as the show of record. By the way, those are not my words describing what's currently going on. Those are the words of William Ayres, along with the rest of the Weather Underground. This isn't the new deal. This is an old deal. Maybe since the beginning of man, I believe a third of the angels fell from heaven over this plan. It is an idea that has been discredited for decades with normal people, but an idea that so many people around this president seem to hold in reverence and still continue to borrow heavily from. You're being played like a Stradivarius. The progressive movement continues to move, and we continue to let it. Most of our media and politicians are anywhere from complicit to apathetic. We are entering a dangerous and scary time, America. But though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, fear no evil. As long as we have each other, we keep our heads on straight, we focus on our path, our founders, and disregard all the magic tricks, we will prevail. So now, how do you make people healthy in America? Well, one tip from Congress is to add on layers and layers of paperwork to any business transaction that exceeds $600.